Another day, another story. Gaseous exchange, also known as gas exchange or respiration, is the process by which oxygen, O2, is taken in and carbon dioxide, CO2, is released. This vital process occurs in both plants and humans but follows different mechanisms due to their distinct anatomical structures. Gaseous exchange in plants. In plants, gaseous exchange primarily occurs through small openings on the surface of leaves called stomata. Stomata consist of two specialized cells, guard cells, which can open and close the pore. During the process of photosynthesis, plants absorb carbon dioxide, CO2, from the atmosphere through open stomata. At the same time, they release oxygen, O2, produced as a byproduct of photosynthesis into the atmosphere. The overall process of gaseous exchange in plants can be summarized as follows. 1. During the day, when there is sunlight and photosynthesis is active, stomata open to allow the entry of carbon dioxide, CO2. 2. Oxygen, O2, produced as a byproduct of photosynthesis diffuses out of the leaf through open stomata. 3. During the night, when there is no photosynthesis, stomata generally close to reduce water loss through transpiration. Gaseous exchange in humans. In humans and other mammals, gaseous exchange takes place in the respiratory system. The primary organs involved in this process are the lungs. The respiratory system is designed to facilitate the exchange of gases between the blood and the external environment. Here's a step-by-step explanation of the process. Inhalation. The process begins with inhalation, breathing in. When we inhale, the diaphragm contracts, and the ribcage expands, creating a negative pressure in the chest cavity. This causes air to rush into the lungs through the airways, which branch into smaller tubes called bronchioles. Gas exchange. In the lungs, the inhaled air reaches the alveoli, which are small sacs surrounded by capillaries, tiny blood vessels. Oxygen from the air diffuses through the thin walls of the alveoli and into the capillaries, binding with hemoglobin in red blood cells. At the same time, carbon dioxide in the blood is released into the alveoli. Transportation. The oxygen-rich blood is carried away from the lungs by the circulatory system to deliver oxygen to various tissues and organs throughout the body. Meanwhile, carbon dioxide produced as a byproduct of cellular respiration in the body tissues is transported back to the lungs through the bloodstream. Exhalation. During exhalation, breathing out, the diaphragm relaxes, and the ribcage contracts, pushing air out of the lungs. The air exhaled from the lungs contains a higher concentration of carbon dioxide, which is then released into the atmosphere. Overall, both plants and humans utilize gaseous exchange to acquire essential oxygen and expel carbon dioxide, which are crucial for their respective metabolic processes. Gaseous exchange in humans in details. Sure. Let's delve into the process of gaseous exchange in humans in more detail. 1. Breathing and ventilation. The process of gaseous exchange in humans begins with breathing, also known as ventilation. 1. Breathing involves the movement of air in and out of the lungs. 1. It is facilitated by the respiratory system, which includes the nose, nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, and lungs. Inhalation, inspiration. During inhalation, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, and the intercostal muscles between the ribs contract, lifting the ribcage up and out. This expansion of the chest cavity increases its volume, leading to a decrease in air pressure within the lungs. As a result, air from the atmosphere rushes into the lungs through the nose and/or mouth, then passes through the pharynx, larynx, trachea, and bronchi to reach the alveoli. Exhalation, expiration. Exhalation is a passive process that usually follows inhalation. When the diaphragm and intercostal muscles relax, the chest cavity returns to its original position due to the elasticity of the lung tissues and chest wall. This causes the volume of the chest cavity to decrease, leading to an increase in air pressure within the lungs. As a result, air is pushed out of the lungs and expelled from the body. 1. Gas exchange in the alveoli. The gaseous exchange takes place in the alveoli, which are small, thin-walled sacs located at the ends of the bronchioles in the lungs. 1. Each lung contains millions of alveoli, providing a large surface area for gas exchange. Diffusion of oxygen, O2. When air enters the alveoli during inhalation, it contains a higher concentration of oxygen, O2, compared to the oxygen-poor blood in the surrounding capillaries. Oxygen diffuses across the thin walls of the alveoli and capillaries into the bloodstream. In the bloodstream, oxygen binds to hemoglobin in red blood cells, forming oxyhemoglobin. This oxygenated blood is then transported throughout the body to supply oxygen to cells and tissues for cellular respiration, which is essential for producing energy. Diffusion of carbon dioxide, CO2, on the other hand, the blood returning from the body tissues to the lungs contains a higher concentration of carbon dioxide, CO2, than the air in the alveoli. Carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood in the capillaries into the alveoli, where it is expelled from the body during exhalation. 1. Transportation of gases. The transport of gases between the lungs and body tissues is facilitated by the circulatory system. 1. Oxygen-rich blood from the lungs is carried away by the pulmonary veins and transported to the left side of the heart. 1. From there, it is pumped into the aorta, the largest artery in the body, and distributed to all organs and tissues through a network of arteries and arterioles. In the tissues, oxygen is released from hemoglobin and diffuses into the cells for various cellular processes. At the same time, carbon dioxide, which is a waste product of cellular respiration, diffuses into the bloodstream. The deoxygenated blood, carrying carbon dioxide, is then collected by the venules and veins and returned to the right side of the heart. From the right atrium, it is pumped into the right ventricle and then sent to the lungs via the pulmonary arteries. Gas exchange in body tissues. Once the deoxygenated blood reaches the lungs through the pulmonary arteries, it enters the pulmonary capillaries surrounding the alveoli. Here, carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli to be eliminated during exhalation. Exhalation of carbon dioxide. As mentioned earlier, during exhalation, carbon dioxide-rich air is expelled from the lungs. This completes the cycle of gaseous exchange in humans. Overall, the process of gaseous exchange in humans ensures that oxygen is taken in to support cellular respiration and the production of energy, while carbon dioxide, a waste product, is removed from the body. This process is vital for maintaining the proper functioning of the body's cells, tissues, and organs. Thanks for watching.